Welcome to Oasis, Tribe with the Vibes, where we lift up the spirit and open our mind. Wellness, reflection, empowerment, joy, healing together. Your soul will enjoy. Hosted by Nutter, let the journey begin. Authentic on the vibes, bringing light from within.
Tribe, welcome Max. I first met him over beers in Rio de Janeiro. It was the best trip of my life. And I instantly knew that he was someone who dives deep, both into horror films and the human experience. It, it was such a genuine encounter that I knew that he was going to be a friend for life. As the mind behind, I'm gonna have you say that station one more time.
Passeio noturno.
Max critiques horror films in multiple languages, y'all. This man is smart, okay? And along with his friends and some beers, he has a great time scaring himself and critiquing whether the horror, blending with some laughs and some insights. I love to say that he is here. Beyond the screen, he's on a journey to confront the tears that truly haunt us, the real ones that we don't talk about, not the ones on the screen. We'll talk about letting go, releasing those horrors within, and the importance of men's mental health. I am honored to have a good friend, dear friend Max with us. And let's welcome Max.
Hello. Hey everyone. What's up, tribe? Thanks for having me.
I am just excited to have you here, knowing that this is an opportunity to connect with you across hemispheres tonight. Feels electrifying, and I appreciate you coming. I know that you have your own platform, your own space. You could have been doing anything else tonight. So I appreciate you vibing with us, vibing with the tribe, coming out and doing your thing with us. Before we get started, we're going to take a mindful moment. Tribe, that moment starts now. Together, let's close our eyes and take a few deep breaths at your own pace, at your own speed. Max listens to, watches films from multiple languages. That's insane that you are willing to critique movies in multiple languages while intoxicated with friends with a camera in front of you. I don't even want to talk to people about their wellness in front of a camera sometimes, and you are doing it with ease while having a few beers. Is it
Yeah,
because you're doing it with friends?
the way I see it is like we're just doing what we would have done anyway. Like if we go to the cinema together and watch a movie, we're going to go to the bar afterwards and we're going to discuss our opinions over beers. So I thought, like, why not record it and like just keep it for posterity? And I thought that might be a good idea for our channel, and it's been fun. It's been like it doesn't feel like I'm recording a program. It's just more like a conversation, but there's a camera and like a setup, you know. So it's very natural. It flows, right?
So when I first met you, it was over beers, and the conversation definitely flowed. It absolutely did. What made you not tell me that you had a horror critiquing channel at that time?
Well, it's like I've had this channel like for 7 years, I think, and it's not always consistent, right? It used to be extremely casual, like so it's like, "Oh, shall we do it this week? Okay." And then there would be like months long breaks. So when we met, I don't even know if we were doing a lot of things because the pandemic, it
Um,
was kind of threw a wrench in it and because we couldn't get together anymore. And when I met you it was like after this kind of pause, you know?
yeah.
So this year, we started like taking it a bit more seriously. I have a friend who's like really enthused about it, Hélio, and he was like trying let's try to up the production value and stuff. So we started like doing more and more things and shooting them, and so now it's I guess a bit more pertinent. Although it's all in Portuguese, right? So I don't know how accessible it is.
Well, I appreciate watching because if I use this extension on my web browser, it's able to give me English translations with what you all are saying. So I definitely feel like I could keep up, especially since I saw familiar faces on the episode. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah, exactly. It's just people who are with us. Like we don't get like strangers like, oh, this is guy's an expert. It's like our
Yes,
friends, you know.
yes, absolutely.
Oh, it's on YouTube. It's still pretty small, but we're trying to like keep a more constant output. If any of you watching this have the extension or know anything about Portuguese, maybe you should subscribe to us on YouTube and Instagram. My channel is called Passeio Noturno. It's in Portuguese. It means like night walk. And it's a channel where I like get together with friends and we like watch a horror movie together and then we immediately afterwards we record our impressions of it over beers. So like it's like film criticism for horror, but very laid back and unscripted and you know, no one is an expert. We're just doing our thing, you know?
Stretch your mind, learn a new language,
Yeah.
especially if you're into horror films. He has great conversation. Trust me. He's a translator. Of course, he has great conversation. Tune into name the station again. Give it to us one more time for the channel.
Passeio Noturno.
Tune into it. Okay. Make sure you do. I want to ask you just off bat, what's a song that puts you in a good vibe? If you were here in the States, if you could be here at Oasis, try with the vibes and real, and get the party started, what's a song that would get you there?
To get the party started, I might bring actually the mood down because the song no, just because the song that I use to you know get like positive and excited, it's like a 1 minute long ambient track, which is actually from the soundtrack of Stranger Things, and it's like just an instrumental piece called Friendship, and it's like really bright and melodic and it kind of is really up my alley. I'm not even a huge fan of the show, but I downloaded the soundtrack and I like that song a lot. And it's very short. Sometimes I have to put it on repeat, but it's a good like right before going out. It's like okay, everything's okay, people are cool, and life is worth living.
See, I'm gonna actually have to check that track out because I love Stranger Things. Love it down. Okay. Mm, why don't you like Stranger Things? Tell me two good reasons. What? How are we already talking about things you're critiquing? And like, was it not scary enough? I was scared a little bit, Max.
Uh, uh, my thing with Stranger Things is it like it's kind of trying to capture like that nostalgic retro thing of the 80s, right? Which is a really popular thing from the last maybe since the 2010s. We've been doing lots of things like that, movies like Drive and then the It remakes, right? So it's really this is something that's in our collective unconscious, so to speak, for all this time. But I think that Stranger Things kind of does a pastiche of that, but it doesn't really bring anything new to the table. It's just like watching Goonies again, or Monster Squad, which are cool movies, and I think they do a good job of capturing the atmosphere of them in the mall and then riding their bikes and the music and the neon. I'm down with that, but I think that the content is kind of like it's just like the backdrop for the vibes and the aesthetic. So I felt kind of like it fell short as its own thing, standing on its own legs.
That's it. I could see that. I don't have a rebuttal for that. I really don't.
Hey, if you like it, you like it.
Me for a loop with that. And I do I really liked I really like Stranger Things, but those are valid points. Valid. You stumped me there. Valid points. However, that song, I'm going to discover it for myself because I love ambient music. I love music that doesn't really have words to it, it's just sounds, right? Where does that sound actually take you to when you're listening to it and playing it over and over and over again?
I guess a state of like bliss, and like it puts me at ease. It feels like optimistic, and like, oh, life, even through the hardships, there are pretty things out there, which I guess is even a theme in Stranger Things, right? Because they're facing off against like all this adversity and this darkness, but little pieces like that, and it's called friendship. It's about how at the end these guys sticking together is what's going to allow them to pull through against the odds. So I think they really transmit that vibe with just 1 minute long track.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like that's the sort of energy, yeah, ambience. Yeah. And you said you were ambivalent. Come on, Andrea, tell us what ambivert, that's the person you are. You know you can come off. We can hear your voice, right?
Amnivert. Amnivert. That's why I'm trying to spell words better, Max. And so
Okay.
I've been practicing on the low. And so you said ambient, but in my head I'm saying amnivert. I have ADHD, so I'm trying to
Me
separate
too.
what letter. Okay, I'm trying to figure out which letter do I need to remove from amnivert to get to amnivert.
And
And I'm over here like in my head, I'm like, I need my dry erase board right now. I really need to write this down so I can erase and move letters.
So you got it right. It popped up here, ambient. That's it.
See, get it better on spelling. There we go.
yes.
But yes.
Yes.
What is that? What? Because I'm not familiar with that stuff, or I don't know if I'm familiar. I listen to a lot of music, but usually I just let it go, and I don't know the genres and stuff like that. Like, explain what ambient music would be.
Thank you.
Yeah, ambient is like it's kind of like the name kind of suggests. It's kind of like background music. Like it's not something people usually listen to actively. Like, oh, let me like lock in and just pay attention to all the nuances. Like it's good for even like if you're writing or something. Sometimes music can be distracting. I
Yeah.
also have ADHD, so it's hard for me to like work while listening to music or study. It always gets, but except for like ambient, because it's like just this really smooth little sometimes it's on like synths, or maybe it's like a piano. It's like
Yes.
very
Yeah.
easy listening stuff and kind of ethereal. I'm
That,
sure you've heard it.
yeah. Yeah.
It's everywhere,
I
like
love
space music.
Netta plays different sounds. I can't even name them. Netta plays so many sounds in her house, and it's just every room could be a different sound, and so it creates a very Oasis feeling, like you're in different places every time you move throughout. So yeah, I like that. I do like that music. I do listen to that music a lot.
I was about to say, I don't think
You,
the folks closest to me understand what I expose them to, but I listen to a lot of ambient music, especially because I don't want others' emotions that can, emote from the music, from the words that they speak over the music per se. And so I listen to a lot of that music because I often don't need someone else's thoughts or energy because I have enough going on in my own damn head. So having that music calms me down and makes me feel sort of serene. Now, if I'm scared, that music is very helpful because I just recently had a battle with an opossum, and in my ears, I was playing ambient music, and I was also telling myself that I am brave, that I am brave, I am brave, over and over.
She was real brave. This possum has been stalking us for who knows how long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it was probably listening to like heavy metal or something while it was attacking you to get in that headspace. So it's like the opposite. So
And
that's a clash of genres.
the way it showed its teeth, it probably was listening to heavy metal.
Yeah, we have a few in my street. They can be quite menacing, but they mostly are skittish. But we have opossums in my street.
So I wanted to ask you, what's, the strangest animals that are there?
Stranger Things.
Yes, like that are actually in Rio though, that we don't have here. Because I'm gonna tell you, those giant cockroach y'all got with the wings, why? Why do cockroaches need to fly? Scared the shit
Yeah,
out of me.
I think it's just so people don't get too comfortable living in like this beautiful city, like with this
Scared
be- landscapes. But the cockroaches, yeah, they're unpleasant, and sadly, it's when it's hot that they come out because they've been giving us a break over winter. But at least they're not dangerous, right? They're just gross, and sometimes they crawl on your leg when you're not paying attention. But I don't think Rio has too many like dangerous animals. We have like alligators over like in the west zone, but I think they kind of keep to themselves. I think in the Amazon up north you'll find like mosquitoes that carry like malaria and stuff, and I guess leopards.
yeah.
But over here, well, maybe centipedes. I don't see them a lot, but they're out there, and we get dengue outbreaks every summer as well. So
I guess the flying cockroach is trying to enjoy outside too with y'all. It's hot. Y'all finally outside again. They want to be outside with y'all partying too, I guess.
yeah, they like their carnival block parties, and if people are littering all
Oh,
the
they feel
beer and whatnot, maybe they're just like copying a sip from the gutters. So maybe that's why they're so into summer.
He not lying about the prevalence of the cockroaches in the summer. They were everywhere. And I had on the wrong shoes a lot of the times. And
Oh,
Max was the one who told me, you need to wear sneakers. You need to stop wearing sandals with your feet out. You need to put on some gym shoes. He didn't say gym shoes, but still, the next day, gym shoes.
and I remember one day you had like some really cool kicks on. I even took a picture of them. They were like very like high tops, and they were very fly. And I don't think you can find them like at a store here, you know. So
Type person I am, the
prop.
exclusivity of an item. Yes. Even got Brazilians saying, where did you get that from? Yes. Who
Yeah, a
are you?
cockroach-proof shoes.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't ready, but I was ready. So you got to stay ready. Okay. Then I ain't got to get ready. I
You
have to buy
adapted.
shoes because I definitely brought gym shoes. Love it. What's a recent win you'd like to share with the tribe?
I guess I'll let's cheers first, cause let's have a drink. We got
Technology.
saúde. Hmm.
Saluji.
I guess a win could be the very fact that our channel has gained some notoriety, right? We're trying to put it out there, like boosting stuff, and it has improved the numbers. And I forgot to mention, we have our own T-shirt. Uh, it's
Yes,
uh,
for the t-shirt. Can
it's
you ship it here?
what? If you could,
Send us the link for the t-shirt. Can you ship it here?
No, you're gonna have to get it in February because it only ships domestically, but it's pretty cheap. It's 66.60 reais, which is like, regarding that, we went for that Kabbalistic horror number there, which in dollars is like $0. So when you guys come over, I'm gonna remind you to acquire one of these. So
Definitely.
anyway, the
That
channel's been seeing some improvement, and even if it doesn't pan out and like I can't live off horror criticism, it's still a cool moment to get together with friends and watch movies, good and bad, and have some laughs, and and have moments like these.
I'm so proud of you, friend. This is great
Yeah.
news.
Likewise, because I think your show is probably going to take off massively as well, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
You absolutely know it. And what you're saying is the proof that consistency works. Working with your passion, with your tribe works. Got to be consistent with it. But that's a huge win. We want to be where you are. So thank you for being a great role model in that. Because yes.
Let's prop each other up.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that leads me to a great question. You aren't the same man that I met then. How have you evolved? Who are you becoming now, Max?
Well, it's a hard question to answer because I guess, as the engineers say, a system doesn't possess complete knowledge of the system itself, right? So I think the jury is kind of out on who I've become. I can tell you that I'm bolder, so I know that time has been passing. It's not an illusion, but I try to be like every day, try to like realize I'm gonna make mistakes, but also be able to own up to them and not like try and like be a victim and someone who is above uh messing up, so I think I try to like communicate with friends, be transparent, and share my concerns, and also be open to listening to their concerns, and if I did something or act a way that is not cool, so trying to be more accountable.
Yes, because we each harm each other, right? We do something that hurts someone, and it's important that we acknowledge that hurt and take accountability so that we can maintain our friendships and keep our village together and our tribe.
Yeah,
What's
and not hold
yeah, go for it.
not hold it in, because sometimes it's not even like, oh, we had a big fight, but sometimes we keep holding in our resentment, or our things that bother us, and then we explode, and that's no way to solve anything. If we address things
Yeah.
as soon as they become bothersome, we can it's easier. We don't even need to like heal. We can be on good terms
Mhm.
without it escalating into a massive problem, right? I'm not perfect at this, by the way. Sometimes I am guilty of internalizing things, or like being very like irreductible, like, and standing my ground, which sometimes is important, but
Yeah.
it's important to try and be critical of yourself, right?
So you're saying there's a difference between maintaining a boundary that you set for yourself and violating someone else's boundary and weighing them.
Yeah, yeah. It's really about, it really comes down to, I guess, just respecting uh others' space, and them in turn respecting yours. Like, we set what we're comfortable with,
Yeah.
and try and abide by that, so we can coexist more than peacefully, like harmoniously, and like friends.
Yeah, absolutely. What sparked your journey?
Uh I guess this is even not this is older than this is dates from before we met, but I think when I was like in my mid 20s, I started, just thinking about all the things that I never considered, that like that attitudes and points of views and thoughts and actions or inactions that were not cool for
Yeah.
other people and for myself. And I've tried to keep that in mind and try and balance that with also, sticking to my beliefs since then, with varied results. Sometimes I think I did well, sometimes I didn't. But even when you do mess up, you still have an opportunity to own up to it and at least try not to repeat that mistake going forward, right?
What about when folks aren't trying to stop repeating? They aren't
Yeah,
trying to change and they know it's hurting folks around them and even themselves.
yeah. I think some people, unfortunately, are incapable of realizing that they're ever at fault. So they will alienate people from multiple circles, and instead of people unrelated, and instead of saying, "Oh, maybe there's something in my attitude or my behavior that's pushing people away," they'd rather believe in a conspiracy that the world is out to get them, and
Yeah.
that's no way to live. Not only are you gonna, have break bridges with lots of people who might have been there for you and vice versa, but you're also gonna not be at ease with yourself really because you're not gonna hold yourself accountable, and you just have this perception that you're an infallible being and at the same time a victim, and it's gonna live in this weird facsimile of life. And when you turn to point the blame next time, maybe there won't be anyone there to point to. So that's something I really don't want to fall into because I've seen it and it's not cool for anyone, not even for people who act like that, but
Yeah.
also for people who are hurt or affected by this sort of mentality and
Yeah.
attitude.
And to me, that is the most horrible thing anyone could say about me, about my personality, right? That I'm someone who deliberately causes others pain and is not holding myself accountable just because I feel like I'm stubborn enough to say that I'm right, or that whatever boundary or belief that I'm holding on to is outdated enough that everybody around me is trying to tell me that I need to change this about myself, but I just refuse to see that. And oftentimes, folks like that, even myself, if I ever done that in the past, will alienate themselves from everyone. Like you end up in new friend groups all the time. Why your friend groups keep changing? You are the common denominator. When are you going to finally see, and that to me is the most horrible thing that somebody could say about me as a friend, is if I do that. And your channel explores horror films all the time, and I think real life sometimes is scarier than what you see on films. It's crazy. What draws you to horror in general? Like, were you just into watching horror films personally and you were like, I'm gonna make this into a passion?
Uh, yeah, it's a mixture of things. I think with horror, it's always had a high entertainment factor. I like an experience like when I'm consuming art. I want it to be something that isn't like a passive experience. I'm not just watching something and feeling nothing. I want it to somehow attack my senses, like whether it's scary or intense or cathartic. So any kind of reaction is I think the most desirable outcome that sticks with you, makes you think. And with horror, the channel, I think I went for horror just because I didn't want to like every single movie I watch, I'm gonna have to think about whether I should review it or not. So I kind of just chose a niche to not,
Mhm.
just only think in terms of, oh, I have to produce content off this media that I'm consuming. But it also ends up heightening my appreciation for the genre, like the horror and its tropes and styles and ways the expectations are subverted or preserved in a way that like pays homage to older stuff. And
Yeah.
I do think that horror is a great vehicle for exploring issues of mental health, which is something we touch on a lot in the channel. Like
Yeah.
we've seen movies that are whether literally or metaphorically about abuse or abandonment or gender or violence, institutional violence, racism, right?
Yes.
So yeah, we both watched Sinners. That's a horror movie, and it's very politically charged.
Yes.
So uh, I think there's a lot to be said. Some people will dismiss horror as just like cheap scares and gore and sex or whatever, and sometimes that is the case. But sometimes there's something more being said, and that's something that we like to explore on the channel. And even if I'm not making a review, I like to like identify these things when I'm consuming them, just watching them casually. So that's, I guess, my relationship with horror and how it kind of seeped into the way my videos and what I record with my friends.
At Authentic Capsule, your media goes beyond the highlights. A deep reverence is given to those unedited and candid moments that capture character, personality, good vibes, and unabashed authenticity. Here at OTWV, Authentic is a powerhouse, a dope producer, editor, vibe dealer, and great bestie. Get to know more by following at Authentic Capsule on your social media platforms and by tuning into our podcast.
Record with my friends.
You said that, it sort of seeped into your psyche, and you obviously you find pleasure in watching them. Do you think that it reflects your own emotional landscape?
Mm, it's case by case, right? Because I can watch a movie where it's like it doesn't resonate me like a movie about like being super old and abandoned, and I can empathize. I'm just pulling this out of my ass. There are movies like that, but it's not there's
No,
nothing that
I
comes to
understand.
mind.
You're like, it's not applicable to my life at all. So
Yeah,
there's something that I would, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so yeah, or I don't know, any kind of thing. Like some movies are about like what women go through, right?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily reflective of my emotional landscape, but if it makes me think and empathize, it can be not only like a powerful experience emotionally, but it can be educational. Like it can bring attention to things that are horrific for
Yeah.
other populations, and tying into what we said about like being accountable. Like the world isn't just about how we feel, like
Absolutely.
it's about how other people feel, and sometimes we are part of the problem. So
Yes.
it's sometimes it'll resonate on a personal level. Sometimes it's more of a I'm just spectating, but I'm like learning, like and absorbing.
Or it's a societal thing, right? To the point of Sinners, it's racially charged because it is about the racism and the discrimination put upon
Mhm.
blacks here in America. So of course that pulls on a chord that you don't relate to. However, you understand through empathy and being your own personhood that is horrors that folks face outside of the movie. Walking down the street, wearing a hoodie, driving your car, simple shit scares the fuck out of us. So I understand and I appreciate his representation of that through his art, because he did a splendid job of showing that through the genre of music and horror. So great. So great.
Yeah, I loved it.
Horror films often tap into universal fears and cause us, to your point, jump and twitch, and it'll be conversation provoking and inducing some fears, right? Like I can't watch certain movies that got spiders in them. If it's spiders all over it, I'm gonna feel like spiders are walking all over me. And yes, I'm afraid of spiders, but that's nothing compared to revealing my emotional self in front of strangers, right? I enjoy a good I enjoy a good horror film every now and again, but I am not spending my waking moments thrusting myself into my worst fears. Okay.
I'm team no horror. I can't watch anything blood related. I barely could get through From. It was a lot of blood in there and gore. Yeah, it's not for me. I'm more of the what's that, Nightmare Before Christmas type of horror.
Yeah, it's more uplifting horror, right?
Yeah, the boo.
Yeah, yeah. What's the name of that the bad
Oh,
guy in that movie?
oh, oh. I'm bad with names. I see their face though.
You see,
Yeah,
I'm
he has like a deep voice.
Yes, yes, a very deep. Hold on, I'll come up with it. I'm putting in the chat.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what's your favorite scary movie?
My favorite scary movie is like exactly what Authentic can't watch. It's The Thing, which is a movie by John Carpenter from 1982. It's like the genre is called like body horror because it's like grotesque transformations. Like it's like an alien thing infecting organisms, and they
Oh
like
my
twist
god.
and contort. And it's really good. I can watch it any time, any day, and pick up something new because it's got lots of unanswered questions, right? It's not spoon feeding you anything. It's very tense. It's very atmospheric and desolate and very heady as well. I think it's so cool. I guess I can't recommend it to everyone, but it's so
It is
good.
still
I love it.
going. My favorite scary movie is Candyman. I'm Chicagoan. It's featured in the hood. It's perfect. Black man out here killing people because of the injustices. It sounds amazing to me.
My
But did you?
favorite is Coraline. Coraline is my favorite.
Hmm.
Oh, right. That's also an animation, right? It's kind of like Nightmare Before Christmas, like the
Yeah.
style, right?
It's a little different. Like it's more of a psychological. I feel like horror,
Yeah.
thriller. Uh, and I like those psychological. I can go because my mind, ADHD. We can create pictures real fast and just
Yeah.
you trying to go this and that. So that's my type. I can do more psychological
Yeah,
horror.
I've been meaning to watch Jacob's Ladder, which they say is like peak psychological horror. I've never seen it, but everyone says it's great. So maybe that's something we can all tune into.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
We could definitely make that happen. When we're in Brazil, we can be featured
Yeah.
on your show.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to say about Candyman. Did you see the new one? Like the newish one?
I did, and I have thoughts about it. I do not rate it as high as the first one, but I do see where they were going with the metaphors and the messages. However, it didn't hit as hard, I believe. So I gave it a C.
All right. Yeah, we did a review for that one. And I
Yeah.
like it because I thought it was even more keyed into the social critique aspect, especially because it was actually directed by a black person, right? The first one has some pitfalls of like that blonde white girl. She's kind of like she's behaving in ways that are kind of inadequate, but the movie isn't really portraying it that way.
Right.
Whereas this one, I think it's more they're saying like this systemic thing goes beyond the like slavery. These guys are still doing it. The cops are still doing all that, and I thought it was more like
It
pointed. So I,
it
I really
definitely,
liked it.
yes. Yes, it's a systematic. I keep forgetting to let you finish, Max. So you're gonna
No, no problem. I'm
um
I'm one to talk over as well.
it is the systematic messages of racism, discrimination, false imprisonment, like all the things, the appropriation of our culture, but the demonization of any black person that is you doing the same thing that you're glorifying everywhere. Yeah, I definitely loved it for that reason, but I wasn't really scared. I wasn't.
Yeah,
Candyman had me scared to say, listen, I'm probably not gonna say it another third time in this
it's five. It's five though, isn't it?
Please don't. Please. I know that
I'm
much
not
about
gonna
Candy.
do it. We're not gonna do that because
Yeah, and
that
and Tony Todd is
still
so cool.
stuck with me.
Hmm?
I said that
Sorry.
still stuck with me. Sitting somebody in
Yeah.
the bathroom, making them say it in the mirror. Mm-mm. No.
Yeah, and it's a lot of daylight horror, which is a bold thing to do. Like when she sees him for the first time in the parking lot, it's like broad daylight, but it's very unsettling, right? And
Yeah.
and his voice is so cool. Like rest in peace, right? He died this year. Tony Todd, he was great.
Yeah. But doesn't isn't that a great representation of the fears that people of color have in the daylight? It doesn't matter that it's not
Yeah,
dark. We still feel unsettled. We still feel uneasy when we are in the daylight, in the darkness, more so in the darkness than in the daylight sometimes. But yes, absolutely a great representation of that.
Yeah, it's no coincidence, right? It's
Yeah.
all very well thought out, I think.
Great for like, if I had to disconnect it from the first one, it would have had a higher grade. But
Yeah,
because
because it's not it doesn't have that originality factor, right? So
yeah,
they invented Candyman back then, right? And so
yeah,
that's the one, and it's like formative things, like from the early '90s.
yeah.
I guess we all watched it when we were more impressionable as well.
With the hook for a hand, we love Captain Hook with Peter Pan. He just ripped that whole image.
And the bees. He actually put bees in his mouth for real. That's why it looks so convincing.
Yes. To this day, I ain't fucking with no bees. And I used to love, Peter Pan and Captain Hook, but I can't see Captain Hook without seeing Candyman. And it just is what it is.
Yeah, it did its job. The movie stuck with you for good reason.
Anyway, what do you think is the most overrated scary movie?
Oh yeah. Well, there are many options. I think I'm gonna say Friday the 13th, because that movie, unlike Halloween or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it was just cashing in on the hype. If you watch it and contrast it with all the other classic, slasher movies, it's just teenagers having sex and getting stabbed. It's kind of pointless. Jason isn't even in the first movie. It's like, spoiler, it's his mom in the first one. And the following movies, like all of the sequels for like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, they kind of fell off. But Friday the 13th was bad from the get-go. So that's kind of, yeah, I think that's a big candidate. Paranormal Activity, because nothing happens. You keep waiting for something to happen, the movie ends. So those two.
Yeah.
Hey, I like the way you go back. You just said I got my list ready.
He does this. He looks at these movies all the time. He also is just a great communicator,
Yeah, he's like, I thought you never asked. You ready?
Horror and beer enthusiast. He is ready.
And
Love that.
do you have any overrated movies like in the genre?
So for me, it's Scream. I think Scream, the whole franchise, is just a joke. I laugh every time I watch them. I've never felt scared. I might have jumped the first time we was exposed and was like, oh man, there's two of them. But you kind of assume it's gonna be two because who's doing the other shit? So like the plot line fell through for me in the first one. So the Screams for me are overrated. But everyone loves that little long mask, baby. Everyone loves that thing. So I think if anything, they found a market in that costume and in that mask sales or what have you. Great.
Yeah, Halloween's coming up. The people are gonna buy that mask. By the lots.
Yeah, but the movie, terrible. Yeah.
Oh, I don't have a movie per se, but I have a script. Like the storylines be the same. Like if I watch a horror movie, it wouldn't be like one of the franchise type ones. It would have to be like Get Out was a psychological horror for me. Like it would have to be something real unique like that. That would watch it. The screams, scary movie, all that is just a little goofy.
Yeah, it becomes a cash cow, right?
Yeah. Like a new character. Yeah, just a new theme, a new setting. It's the same old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch the movie that Jordan Peele produced, right? Him. I think I'm gonna watch it this week. But it's not, he didn't direct it though.
Yeah. I've heard some reviews about it. Hearing about it before does not taint me going to watch it. I still watch it for the first time, even thinking about that. So I've heard good things. And then that's the one with Marlon Wayans in it, right?
Yeah.
I saw some of the interviews that he was doing during like the press tour for it. So I don't know, Marlon, this would be a different type of role for Marlon.
Yeah, because he was in Scary Movie, right? He was doing the goofy stuff we were just talking about. But now he's like drama, right? Yeah, I'm interested to see.
I want to see him role. Yeah, I want to see him in it because it's like I just see him like as a goofy character. So it's like seeing how his character is portrayed in it. Regardless of like, I watched the movie to see the whole thing through, but I really want to see his acting abilities. Can he change it up? So
Yeah, I think he was pretty good in that Requiem for a Dream. He kind of was like serious in that one, so I do think that he's gonna pull it off. I am excited to see if the movie itself holds up though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's getting good ratings right now from the critics, but I do hope that as producer, Jordan is getting his money back because he deserves
Probably.
in his return. Yes.
About to end my glass. There's something's gonna happen when I finish my glass, right?
Yes. Let me read from my glass too. So great break.
Synergy Oasis, my holistic wellness space dedicated to empowering minds, body, and spirit through tools like affirmation cards, journals, teas, and community gatherings.
There's a lot going on in your country, as is here. But you all have maintained your democracy, and I applaud you for that. I think the citizens there, as well as the officials that you all elected to make sure that happened. We love Lula. Lula's flipping amazing. I love when he speaks out against all the shit and shenanigans. But how are you staying grounded given what was happening there and the chaos that was occurring? And what advice would you give to anyone here who is still struggling, like myself and Authentic, who are contemplating our sanity and crossing the border?
Yeah, yeah. It's our. There's in a way the situations of our country kind of mirror our countries kind of mirror each other because except it was like just in a different order, like because Trump is in power now in the U.S., whereas Bolsonaro he just lost the not just lost, but he lost the last election, and now he's been condemned, right, for his attempt to make a coup, which
Yeah.
is what many speculate that Trump is going to try and do to get a third term, right, next year. But thankfully, he got found out, and there was a trial, and he was found guilty. We're in October now, and hopefully, when this video comes out, he'll already be behind bars, which is something I never imagined I'd see. So I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
There was recently like a march on the street against amnesty for all these military guys who are trying to like skirt their legal uh they're escaping punishment
Yeah.
by like appealing to their authority as statesmen or people of the military, and that march I think was kind of crucial for this proposal for amnesty being given to people like Bolsonaro being overturned. So it looks like things are going to pan out against him, which is good for the people, and I can only hope that the people in the USA stay strong because Trump is practically waging civil war there. He's
Yes.
like he wants to invoke the army and have them like uh, occupy certain states where the governors aren't in accordance with him, and things are heating up there. And I hope you guys stay safe. I can't wait till you're here, and I want to believe that he's not going to get away with any more of his megalomaniacal, fascist ploys.
Absolutely. We want to believe that if we continue to fight the power and fight against what he's doing and push back, that we will fight against the fascism and whatever authoritarian government he thinks that he's about to give. My fear, though, sits with the presence of ICE currently in our neighborhoods. Currently,
on the street.
pulling folks out of their homes, raided an entire apartment building in one night. Just Gestapo like motherfucking shit, and it's terrible. I really feel for our communities, and I'm hoping that our collective energy of, pushing against this anti-culture, whatever it is that he is trying to push. I really hope that our collective energy and motivation to stand against this will work. I hope we're not repeating history, but guarantee if it gets any closer, I'm not going to be here to stand for that. No, no. No, 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 no. I'm going to help fight as much as I can, but if it gets worse and I get a chance to leave, I'm not going to stay.
Yeah, if I get the opportunity to leave, where to?
Let's go to Rio. You guys should come to Rio.
Yes.
I just need
Celebrate democracy.
Yes. Yes.
Ashe.
Where we are welcomed, because that was the most empowering thing for me walking around the streets of Rio, is that I saw other people that looked like me, that looked like they could have been on 79th Street, that looked like they could have been my neighbors. And it was glorified. It wasn't demonized. And I appreciated seeing everyone be able to walk in their oneness, whether or not there's a hidden message there that I wasn't able to know at the time. I really did appreciate that there was some highlights of the African diaspora and culture.
Yeah, I'd like to make the point that like it isn't all perfect here, right? There we still have to contend with a lot of racism, and the economic disparity between white people and marginalized populations is gigantic, right? So there's still a lot of that going on. And just a few years ago, Bolsonaro was put in power, right? So there's still a lot of work to do, but I think that the USA has reached a point where these white nationalist guys are extremely inflamed with recent events, and they're gonna try as hard as they can to to kill democracy and like step all over everyone who's in their way. So it's calamitous, and I definitely can understand why you guys don't feel like staying there if the situation remains as it is, right?
Yeah, I'm not staying somewhere where I don't feel safe. And beautifully, miraculously, I felt safe in Rio every time that I'd been there. Much more safer than I feel here, and probably than I've ever felt here. And I think that's what draws me to it more and more, is that I feel safe there. And yes, nowhere is perfect, but I feel safer in my oneness walking the streets of Rio than I do in my oneness walking here.
You'll be among friends, that's for sure.
Yes. So we both finished our drink.
Yeah.
And you have a wine glass that's just clear, no symbol on it, because I didn't give you one. So the question that we both have, because I decided that since you would be doing the same, I'd be like, so we both have to answer the question that is regarding our essence of self, your selfhood, right? What are you open to receiving, feeling that you're missing or replacing, and in search of?
Money. No. I feel like the best thing that you can receive is and I don't mean to be like super cliched or anything, but it's like a support network, right? To know, and of course this goes both ways. I can't just hope like for my friends to pick me up if I fall down. I need to be there for them also. I just hope that uh I can be as good as them as they are to me, and that we can like know who the real ones are, so to speak, right? Not just for the good times, but also for hardship or whatever may come. So hopefully, going forward, I'll continue to cultivate relationships with people who are genuine and loyal friends, and I hope I can be that for them as well.
Yes. Max, it's so funny you say that. I love that you said that. Thank you so much for sharing. I was going to say the same thing. I'm open to making new connections, to meeting the right people who are aligned with where my heart is and the mission of the show and just the mission of my life, I feel. I didn't go to Rio thinking I was going to make lifelong friends, and then I did. And so I am just really hoping to magnify that the more that me walking this path through this journey takes me. Like, I don't, to your point, we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So to say who you are becoming is a wild question. However, I do think I am becoming more confident in my voice and confident in who I am and what gifts I may possess and the passions that I may have. Whereas before I kept myself in a box, like, no, you just wanted to be a teacher, you only wanted to do this. And now I am exploring other things. And so I am open
Hence
to
this channel, right?
yes, Max, exactly.
So this channel.
This
Getting
channel.
things done.
Yeah. So it's wild to think that I met you years ago just
We
on
played Uno, I think.
the time in Rio, just trying to make sure I had some great vibes, partied good, because we definitely partied good.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Max shows a great time.
Yeah, at least the ones I remember. The other ones were probably even better though, because we got to a point where we don't know what happened.
And no one took any footage, thank goodness.
Well, that remains to be seen. Maybe we'll be blackmailed when our channels have lots of subscribers, right?
It is what it is. Whoop-de-doo.
And I'm like, just thinking about the things we did, I pray other people were so fucked up that they did not get anything either.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. Whew. What lessons or strengths do you feel that you are able to pull from your roots or your ancestry, your home? You're in a rich place of culture, nature. I feel like my soul feels vibrated whenever I am there. How are you, or what are you connecting to that keeps you grounded and at peace? I've asked you two questions, but I know you're gonna be good with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of a special case, so to speak, because I am Brazilian and I was raised here, but I'm also Scottish, right? I was born in Scotland, and my mother's side is all Scottish. I came here was like I was 6 months old, so I'm a lot more Brazilian than I am Scottish. But that obviously rubs off as well. That's kind of why I'm bilingual and work with translation and stuff. So I'd say that the Scotland side, maybe it taught me stuff, Braveheart like stuff. Let's stick to our ideals and justice
Really?
against tyranny. As for Brazil, I think there's a lot to be said for like our warmth and maybe even though we're a very religious country, there's also something to be said about like desacralizing things like affection between friends and even lovers. Like things don't have to follow like a formula necessarily, like a game or just these steps. Sometimes if you like someone, you call it like it is, and things work out. So that's something
And,
which
they,
I
and
think is good.
I'll go from 0 to 100 real quick. I've never met a group of people who met at minute 1, was kissing by minute 5, and went home with them by minute 62.
62 is kind of
I
like
know that is being generous.
yeah. So I think that's cool.
I enjoyed feeling the vibrations there, and like you said, the warmth. Are there ways that you used to find that were giving you peace and that no longer do that anymore, and you've had to find new ways of grounding and peace?
Huh. Well, let me think. Maybe I think I used to be way too eager to like have like keep all my ties with everyone. I can't say no to anything, and I have to like be present at every single thing and go to events. Like I used to I don't like going to the beach. I'm a terrible Brazilian in that sense, but I had to go. I felt like it was mandatory if my friends were organizing. I had to go. And I said, I can just do what I want, right? And I don't have to be extremely on top of every single relation in my life. We don't even have to fall out, but sometimes, like organically, we gravitate towards, what we're more in tune with, and maybe we don't have to like just always please and be concerned about everyone's perspective on us, and let's do what you want within reason and within in a compassionate way, and that's the way to go, but be authentic. So
Did you have an experience that made you have to stand on that, where you had to stand on business and be authentic, and that
uh
solidified it for you, or were you just naturally that way?
yeah, I don't think there was like a turning point necessarily, but just I think maturing, you kind of start to understand that not everything is about like appearances or being of like your standing or whatever. Like it's about what you want. Of course, you have to be mindful of other people, but you also have to respect your own emotions and wills and your energy. So that's just something that I guess with time you lose a bit of energy, and it just also kind of just organically gravitates toward that state of mind,
Absolutely. And keeping a even keel state of mind is important, even when you are experiencing good or bad times. It is real important that you can maintain balance and harmony within, no matter where there's great times ahead or tough times. Um, have you, how have you coped with loss or grief in a way that isn't atypical to men, but you have found it to be so helpful? And how have you found it to be so helpful to communicate your feelings with friends?
hmm Well, yeah, that's an important thing. Like, regardless of loss, because it could be any issue, right?
Yeah.
I think that men need to be okay with communicating their feelings. They don't need to close themselves off. They need to allow themselves to be vulnerable and cry if, or just know, like, admit that they're flawed, and and regardless of flaws, that they have wants and feelings and hurts and regrets. So they should talk, right? To
Yeah.
each other, to women as well, listen to outside perspectives. And communication is like the key to almost
Huge.
everything, right? And this is even before factory and loss. With loss, I think it might be again a kind of cliche thing, but it's one day after the other, right? Because I lost my father like 5 years ago, and of course it never goes away, right? And I don't even think it should. But it's not going to be horrible every day for the rest of your life. It's something. It's a part of life, right? And each day is, I guess, a bit easier. And sometimes your remembrance can turn from like grief to like a fondness, right? I still dream about my dad, but I don't get like, I don't wake up like, oh my God, that was terrible because he's dead. It's like, oh, it's like I got to spend some time with him again. So it becomes more of a celebration than mourning. So I guess you don't really even necessarily have to do something, just realize that time, and again, this is super like banal. Time heals everything. It heals all wounds. It helps. One day you're gonna realize you're not as shattered as you were. This applies to heartbreak as well and stuff like that.
Yes. If you don't mind, how did you start to move forward after the loss of your father? And thank you so
Uh
much for sharing that with us.
oh, no problem. I guess since my dad died like in September of 2020. So like we were in the middle of the pandemic, but it was and he didn't die of COVID, he had cancer, but we really were isolated, me, him, and my mom, because he was like at super at risk. So when he did die was also kind of a moment of like, okay, we don't have to be as extremely cautious. Maybe I'll start seeing my friends again, like not going crazy, but maybe I'll have a couple of friends over, or I'll go to my next door neighbor, which I did actually after my dad's cremation, like the same day. I went just next door and it was a good time. I guess it's like by chance the pandemic had happened, and then I guess it was like a opportunity to open up my circle again and just be with people I care for, and kind of take my mind off all the negative, and also just like get their input, and just try and push through. So I guess that's it. And time, regardless, time helped, right? That's time. My mom really felt it, and she was crying a lot, but the time passes, and he's still present, but it's not as hurtful, it's not as painful as it was when it was like fresh.
What are rituals or things that you do to honor your dad or communicate with him?
Like honestly, I'm not a very spiritual person, right? So it's more of like I remember him, like our experience, I share them whenever it's like pertinent. I'm with friends, and I like to tell stories about him, or I just think to myself, about him, or maybe I'm watching something and I'm like, oh, I bet my dad would like this. Just preserving the memory, his legacy, right? So just, simple things. I don't have anything like very specific that I do, right?
That's good. But it might be you drinking a beer one time and you see something that reminds you of him, or the thought of him comes, and he'd be fine with what you're doing right there. That it doesn't
Yeah,
have
something I'd like to show him, yeah.
Absolutely, exactly. It doesn't have to be ritualized, but you know that it's happening, and you feel that connection with him, even if you aren't practicing something to have that connection with him. He'll always be in your heart and your mind, of course. So
Hmm.
beautiful. Have you ever felt that analyzing horror films helps you confront your own emotional struggles, or does it sometimes make them more intense?
I see the potential for it to help. Truthfully, I can't say there were many movies, even the ones I love, that are like, oh god, this is super therapeutic for me, because sometimes they're saying something poignant, but it just doesn't apply to me. So I guess maybe there are other things like music, maybe, that help me cope better than horror. I don't seek out horror for that reason. I know it has the possibility of having a positive effect on my mental health, but generally it's more like I appreciate the message they're trying to send, regardless of whether it impacts me directly or not, right? But it could happen, and maybe it did, and I don't recall, but it's not something that's like recurring in my life, definitely.
I appreciate you sharing that other men need to share in community and they need to address their emotions. Why is it so important that men share? What's the downfall of holding it in?
Yeah, we need to tear down the notions of masculinity that have been ingrained like in society and capitalism and stuff. It's just like you have to be the provider, you have to be stoic, and crying is for girls, and you can't show emotion, you just need to hunt and make money, right? So that's of course very toxic, and it leads to terrible things, to violence, to all of this that we're facing, right? So if men would just like admit that they're fallible, and that they have desires, aspirations, and like limitations, and they talk to the people they love, like significant others, or just friends, or therapists, right, or psychiatrists. Sometimes we need to admit that we need like help in the medicinal aspect of it, right? And just it just really helps to share, and to hear other people's feelings, and to know that someone's listening, and feel validated, or maybe just be pointed in the direction of more adequate state of mind and behavior. So it's fundamental for everyone, but of course men really rebuff this kind of stuff, and it it shouldn't be like that way, but I know that some people have been fighting against that, and it's good to see. So I hope that this trend persists and men are more at ease being themselves and like opening themselves up to others and not just holding it all in until, something bad happens.
Absolutely. We appreciate you being on. We appreciate you being the second man that has come on thus far and being brave enough to share your heart with the masses and do that from a male perspective, and not just a male perspective, but you're also talking from a multicultural lens. I have Scottish blood in me as well, and I do think that certain attributes from different cultures are more dominant than others inside of us. And so to think that men in particular are behaving in ways that they think society wants them to behave, when it is in complete resistance of what they culturally could be doing for their own soul. And so I appreciate you sharing that and pouring your heart on that topic, because it is important that men sharing and within their own communities, within their own friend groups, because if they're not getting it out, it is going to blow up and show up as something different. And it might even show up as something different with your friends. And you don't want to lose your friends over the fact that you can't get your shit together and hold yourself accountable.
Exactly.
Or be self-aware, because sometimes it's not that folks don't want to be held accountable. Sometimes they just don't know what it is that they need to.
Yeah, it's about being open to listening,
Yeah.
accepting that our own perspective isn't necessarily universal, right?
Yes. What's a life lesson that's been on repeat for you and you finally feel like you got it?
I guess that sometimes you have to, let go. Some people, as hard as you try to keep them in your life, they are not interested in reciprocating, and sometimes they don't have the transparency or the communication skills to let you know that they don't want that, so they keep you guessing, but they're just like, skirting around the issue and, being unavailable, and realizing that there's no point in pressing it for yourself or for the other person's sake. Just even if they didn't say with all words, like, that they're not interested, and this applies to relationships but also friendship. Sometimes you just need to, okay, I'm not going to try, I'm not going to invest energy into a person who doesn't invest energy into me, right? So that's, I guess, a thing I've learned over time, which I've been able to deal with progressively better as these situations have appeared, like, successively, right? I used to really have a hard time accepting this sort of stuff. Now I'm more, prepared to understand there are other ways that people uh, uh, leave. They don't
Yes.
announce it necessarily.
Yep.
Oasis, Try with the Vibes, a podcast where real conversations spark healing, growth, and transformation. Each episode, I, Netta, your host, sit down with voices that inspire us to break cycles, build bridges, and walk boldly into our next chapters. Tune in wherever you find your podcast.
Yep. You're spot on for me in particular. Today, I found myself ruminating over a past friendship that has dissipated. And I thought, similar to what you're thinking, like, well, if it was you, maybe that person would have said something, but you hit it right on the head. Sometimes they don't have the wherewithal to communicate and they just fade. And so I think today was a day of, grieving those relationships that I won't get closure for, and being okay with not getting that closure and being okay with the betrayal and moving forward and just keeping my head high. I was not expecting you to say that. So I'm really glad that you already summed it up for me, because I absolutely feel the same thing. And that was a thought that I had today for sure.
Mhm.
That, like, why is this coming back around? Like, how I am tired of being the friend that has gotten betrayed or has felt some sort of hurt from friends that you think are going to be lifelong or at least generational, and it hurts more not having them around, but you saying that is just confirmation that they didn't want to be around and they didn't have the capacity to communicate that.
Yeah. It's hard, but we have to accept it's a part of life,
It's
and the
another,
better for moving on.
yes, yes. Can you share a moment when a horror story or a movie gave you insight into your own life or emotions? Do you recall?
Hmm. I wonder. Hmm. Possibly, I think that I might like be kind of shoehorning something in if I tried to apply that because I'm thinking of my favorite movies and I don't really see myself in them. I think I admire them for other reasons. So maybe I'm not sure if there is a horror movie that I feel like was very like clinically connected to my life experience. So I don't know. I think I would be just pulling something out of my ass if I were to choose one.
Like, yeah. It's funny you say that because I feel like you might not know it now, but in the moment you're watching a movie and you're like, maybe that's why such, but you don't equate that to your life in general. You're just like, that makes sense about the psychological
Oh
or
yeah,
about
could
this,
be unconscious. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. What do you think you're planting today that will benefit future generations outside of your channel?
Uh, okay. That's a good question because it's a big question, right? And I don't want to sound like a savior or anything, but I guess as far as planting today, just being respectful uh every day and trying to be honest and forthcoming is a way to perpetuate like if I simply by doing things like being a man who talks about feelings and intimate things
Well, yes.
and I don't mean to say that like I'm an enlightened guy or anything, but because I know that I could be doing more as I could be doing more concrete stuff which would affect a wider berth of people. But I think
But
that if my beliefs, if I at least translate them into my interactions with other individuals, I can help normalize positive attitudes and also help people like be more at ease and safe compared to more destructive behaviors. So I
yes,
guess it's kind of the little things.
yes. We definitely want to normalize conversations on our mental well-being and our emotional well-being. We spend so much time talking about our social lives and talking about our financial lives and talking about our physical well-being and
Hmm.
jobs. But as soon as we have to talk about our emotion or what we're really thinking, we're so afraid of losing people, especially those that are closest to us, that we don't share. And so I'm just super honored and grateful that you came out to share your heart with us. And if there were any last comments, messages you want to give to the men out there who are holding on to something that they refuse to share, what would you have for them?
If you have anyone that's close to you, please reach out to them, especially if maybe they're part of whatever is affecting you. And if not, which unfortunately there are some people who don't have like close knit circles or family and stuff. Uh, and then I don't know the particulars of each region and stuff, but if you can seek help, like professional help, it is a step in the right direction, whether it's like therapy or psychiatry or anything in between, occupational therapy. Sometimes that we are kind of abandoned by the system in that way, but there has to be something, right? There has to be some avenue we can chase to get that support we need and deserve.
Yes. And this is also a space where you can come talk about it, Leave your thoughts in the comments, engage in the conversation. This is a conversation. Everyone needs to have community. You need to be able to have a safer, safe space to converse with each other. You feel so much better after you get it out. I am loving the time we're having, the conversations we're engaging in. What's the last movie you watched for your channel that you thought was pretty good and it might have scared you a little bit? Are there any movies that scare you for real?
Yeah, I don't get scared too often by movies. I get more scared by like video games because you're like participating, so there's a bigger stake, and I play with headphones on, and that can get me shouting and making a fool of myself, which is why I'm never gonna like stream myself playing or anything. But I can tell you the last good horror movie
Yeah.
or horror adjacent movie I watched was The Long Walk. I watched it for my channel, and there were mixed opinions in the among my friends. Like me and one friend really liked it, another friend not so much. But it's I thought it was great. It's based on a novel by Stephen King, which I had read and which I liked a lot, and I thought it was very faithful, and it talks a lot about. It's like not a supernatural movie. I think if you guys haven't watched it, you should, because it's talking about like societal issues through the lens of like a kind of dystopian future, but it has a lot to do with the current political landscape in the USA. And I thought it was like a cool journey, like very well acted, very tense, and a very rewarding experience. It's a movie I'd like to watch again. It's The Long Walk. So
Yeah,
that's my answer.
so definitely check that out. Authentic. I legit lost my train of thought when I said that.
Challenge? No.
I want to do the challenge, but I also want to ask, mm, is there any hmm, is there anything that you feel men deal with internally or mentally that's scarier than fiction?
Yeah, everything. I think real life uh, it clears fiction in everything because that's the real problems. Like Michael Myers isn't going to reach out of the screen and stab you, right? But your depression, insecurity, like self consciousness, and your suicidal ideation or substance addiction, those are real. So any problem that men face, whether it's like you're not conforming to your expectations of gender or sexuality, or or really anything that veers from the norm, that is scary, and you're expected to suppress it, and you shouldn't. But I know that it's not always safe to express it, so that is really scary, right?
Yes. Yes. I've enjoyed this conversation, Max,
Me
and I don't
too.
want it to end. So I'm like, what's another question I got?
The challenge. Let's do the challenge.
Let's definitely do the challenge. Authentic, go ahead.
I am here. It is our challenge time. And this time we have a horror release ritual. This challenge requires you to leave the frightened cat on
Passeio noturno.
an Oasis Tribe with the Vibe to tell everyone else that you've listened to the end of our video. Pick one fear, memory, or unresolved feeling that has been quietly haunting you. Write it down in detail or pick a symbolic object that you want. Share it with a trusted friend or even just aloud to yourself so you can acknowledge its presence without the judgment. Reflect on one small action you can take this week to comfort or release it. Toss the object or consciously release it from your mind. Drop a ghost in the comments if you're taking part in this horror release ritual, confronting what haunts you. And if you dare, leave the ghost emoji along with what you're also releasing in the comments. Make sure you tag hashtag horror release ritual. That's hashtag horror release ritual. Cool. Thank you. Happy challenge.
I love this. This was awesome.
Me too.
It's great to have you. I appreciated the nuggets, but I have to ask you one final question for real, for real. For those of our listeners that would not consider themselves to be spiritual, what are some quick tips or tools that you would suggest for them if they are just reeling off of a loss of any kind?
Uh, I would say distract your mind however you're able to. I think uh, being with friends is a great way to take your mind off your afflictions and also to work through them if you discuss them, right? Which you should if you feel at ease with them. That's a big one. But if you have any hobbies like exercise or games or watching a horror movie and that helps, then go for it. But occupy your mind so you're not stuck with all those negative thoughts that creep in when you're alone and inert, you know?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Oh, I got one more. What truth would you say you have been avoiding?
What truth have I been avoiding? That's a good one. That I need to be more proactive if I want not only my channel to take off, but also my financial stability to, be like secured, right? Because as a professional translator, I think I rely too much on, and a freelance one at that, I rely too much on people offering me jobs than me seeking them out.
Mm,
So I need to work against that, work against my inertia, and get that bread, as they say, and
Yes.
uh, and maybe be a bit more also incisive with the channel and like
Yes.
participating and cooperating with getting it done.
Because the channel is already blowing up. It's going to be even better than you had thought. What are
That's
three
how
gratitudes that you have for your essence of self journey?
three gratitudes.
Yes.
Um, People I can rely on.
Mhm.
Always circling back to, being able to talk and open yourself up to. That's one. I guess the structure I've been given by my family and my mom, and which allows me, the privilege to mull these things over and plan things out without like living, like having to survive every day. And lastly, maybe just art and like music and cinema and just video games and everything that allows me to like see things in different perspective and like be enlightened and informed by. I'll say that.
That's great. My first gratitude is that I am open to change and evolving and transforming who I think I am now. And I'm also just with that grateful to be giving myself grace with the change and, you know, being patient with myself through this change. I am becoming someone new that I didn't know I existed or could do. And so I need to really give myself grace. So I'm grateful for that. And I would have to say I'm grateful for this channel. I am grateful for, friends and in the community that have pushed me to go outside of my comfort zone. And so I guess I just should continue to get used to being outside of my comfort zone because here we are. And much like yourself, I would say the third thing that I'm grateful for is the art, is what's being created, the synergy and the ideation that happens when you are in your bliss, so to speak, when you are doing something that speaks to your soul. And because I'm doing something that is my bliss and speaks to my soul, it doesn't feel like work. Um, and so I'm grateful for that in this current place that I'm in. So yeah,
Awesome.
thanks. Appreciate it.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we look forward to seeing you in Brazil in 2026.
Please. Yeah.
Thank you for being on
Thanks for having me on.
OTWV. We love that you came out.
Yeah, it was awesome. I can't wait.
Mhm.
Everyone watching this video, the Oasis Tribe with a Vibe launch party is this week. I have a feeling that this channel is going to really take off, and I can't wait to see what they have in store as far as content goes. And Halloween's coming up. Our episode is going to be good, and stay tuned to our channel and get that extension. Or rather, maybe I'll do some subtitles in English to facilitate everyone's life watching Passeio Noturno.
Yes, because we are tuning in. Trust.
Awesome. You guys come to Rio in February, please get the shirt and if you have any merch that I can get, I'll get it for sure.
Yes, we are absolutely getting a shirt. We are absolutely getting a shirt. And any other merch that you have, we are honored that you came out. And that is a wrap, tribe. Woo!
This is Oasis. Tribe with the vibes. Let's grow. Together we thrive. Let's a good vibe flow.